welcome to Soto Creations, where we make your imagination a reality. Today we're going to set up for a smaller event, but special event. So I'm excited because I'm using my rose gold shimmer wall for the first time, but this event is for one of my co-workers' daughters who's graduating from cosmetology school. So excited to set this up for her. I have the car already loaded. I'm gonna show you how I set up and prep for all this here shortly. But if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. I hope you enjoy what you watch, and let's get on with the tutorial. I'm going to prep all the balloons I'll be using for this install. So I try to inflate as much as I can at home so that when I get to the venue, it's easier for me to set up and I'm not there very long. I do this so that I can transport the balloons. Luckily, I have a car that's big enough to hold enough balloons that I would be able to set up for this event. So the first color I'm inflating is this ivory silk. It's a Qualitex. I'm using 12 inches, 16 inches, and 5 inches. The 5 inches are going to be the smallest ones that I use for the accent, as I always call it. So Olivia shows up here. My mom was doing her hair and she heard me inflating balloons and came to play. So I'm making clusters of 6 balloons and adding one of the 17 inches just to give that extra organic effect. And I'm not inflating the balloons to the same size. As you can see, I'm deflating them to get that rounded look, but I'm not using a sizer. I'm just deflating to where I get it nice and round, not really paying attention to size. So some are probably about a 9-inch, some are probably 11, some are 8, just to get my organic effect. Now I'm estimating that I'll probably need 6. She's dancing in front of the camera. I'll probably need 6 in each color, 6 clusters of balloons in each color. So that's what I'm working on here, to get about 6 in each. The second color that we'll be working with is the pink. It's just the standard pink color. Also, the brand is Qualitex, and I'm doing the exact same thing I did with the white. The customer wants me to do pastel colors, so she said pink, purple, or lilac, but she wanted all pastel colors. So I thought this would be good, and I suggested a rose gold shimmer wall. At first, when I tested the 3 colors I'm using, I felt like maybe that rose gold shimmer wall wasn't the best idea, but once I put everything together, I absolutely fell in love with it. My mom actually said to her this was the best design I've done. I guess she liked this one the most. So it turned out really good. And you'll see why I was somewhat iffy about the colors once I get to the third color here shortly. So this third color is called Canyon Rose. Now, I don't know, when I first inflated it, I kept thinking, why did they call this color Canyon Rose? It looks more like a lilac color. This is by the brand Tuftex, and I'm doing the same thing. The Tuftex balloons seem to be slightly bigger in size or stretchier than the Qualitex, but it looks more like a lilac. But I can see now, once I put the colors together with this ivory silk and pink, that you can see the tones of pink within that Canyon Rose. So I can see why they named it Canyon Rose. I'm doing the same thing I did with the other 2 colors, making 6 quads as well of that canyon rose, and I had to forward so it's not redundant. Now we're working on some filler balloons with the 5 inches, so I'm inflating them and deflating them to about 3 or 4 inches, making sure the sizes are even, because with these clusters, when you put them on your balloon garland as fillers, it looks weird if the ones that are grouped together don't have the same size. So you want to make sure when you deflate, and if you're not able to estimate, you're more than welcome to use a sizer. That helps. One thing I thought about as well, I did not want the garland to look basic at this point. I wanted to create a little bit of dimension, so I decided to make these balloon, some people call them balloon robes. I like to call them berry clusters, because to me they look like a bunch of grapes all clustered together. So I'm attaching the pink as well, and I'm only gonna make 3 of these, 1 of each color, just to add a little extra oomph to the whole design. And you'll see at the end it turns out really nice. I'm just looking at the full thing here and just adding to, making it long enough that when I put it on the garland, it shows and it's significant. So this was just a thought as I was inflating to see what can I add to this whole look. Of course, the shimmer wall has enough drama on its own, but I didn't want the balloons with the shimmer wall to look basic towards that shimmer wall. So that's why I decided to make these little clusters. With the clusters, I'm also making a set of 3 balloons that I can use as fillers as well. So I'm going to do that with all 3 colors, make a balloon berry cluster and also filler balloons as well to go with the full design. So you see me doing that here. And of course, I will show you a closer up of how I put together these clusters. People have several methods of doing it. You can do it in such a way that it doesn't look like berries. It looks more like a rope where the balloons are more aligned. Or you can do it where you're just intertwining the balloons and it looks more like a berry. So depending on what look you're going for, you can do that. And if you're interested in me differentiating the two and creating a little video just to explain that, I can do that as well. But I'm working on getting all those canyon rose 5 inches, and now we're going to assemble. And with this, you can use a fishing line, or you can just tie the necks. I'm using the necks from the 5 inches, which are usually pretty stretchy, to connect them together. So I'm holding on to the cluster that's already formed, and with the new balloon wrapping it around and tying it, and sometimes using that same neck to stretch it to the next balloon I add. If not, I just take the neck of the balloon that I just added and add that to the following one, if that makes sense. But I'll show you how I do that when I get to the ivory silk balloon. So you'll see that coming up here shortly. If this is your first time tuning in, I hope you would consider clicking that subscribe button. It really supports my channel and I appreciate you for doing that. I create videos on decor and I show you a lot of how I set up for events. I think it's always fun to see something different with each event, and so far I've had a lot of events. If you go through the channel, they're all so different as far as the designs I create. So if you have requests for specific tutorials that you would like to see, please feel free to leave that in the comments below, and I would love to design it for you so you can see. So I'm working on my last color, and I'm coming close so you can see what I'm doing. So I have that cluster, I'm pulling the neck from that, wrapping it around the new one that I'm forming, and using the neck of the new one to tie to the previous neck, and stretching that same neck from the new one, wrapping it around and attaching it to that new one. Make it nice and tight and hold on. Now you can also twist it like so. And when you twist, that creates more of the organic effect. So instead of it being all aligned, you have the clusters, but you also want to make sure you're covering those gaps. So when you see those necks like I just did, you twist the balloons around so they're nice and tight. The goal here is to get them nice and tight. So there's a neck. I'm aligning that other balloon and twisting that neck around it, and then making a tight knot, double knotting it so that it's nice and snug. So we are all done. We're packing up the balloons, starting with our fillers and our cluster of garland. There's Oliver as well coming to play. But if you're excited like I am for this rose gold shimmer wall, I will show you how I set up at the venue. I bought these bags from the U-Haul store, and they're great for transporting balloons. They're nice and sturdy. I get the queen size mattress bag because it's the perfect size for me to be able to easily transport the balloon. You'll see here I'm trying to overfill it, and I eventually have to take some of it out so that it can get through my doorway. So, but it's a good size. Let's go to the venue. We are at this beautiful home. I have my pipe kit set up already, as you can see on the left side there. Now I'm assembling the shimmer wall. I assemble my shimmer wall face down because it's easier for me to access the points that connect. So that's what I'm working on right here. I'm aligning each panel is 12 by 12 inches. So I'm aligning 6 panels, and then I'll add them as I go down. But I have a more detailed tutorial coming up probably in the next week or so to really explain to you how I assemble this. I can't do it as well on this video because I'm rushing to set up before her guests start coming. So with the panel already on the floor, I'm going to use some zip ties, but first we have to put some 260Qs onto our crossbar because I don't want to try to get that through once I've zip tied the shimmer wall onto the crossbar. Now I'm attempting to use the zip tie, but I didn't realize I brought shorter zip ties. These are the zip ties that come with the shimmer wall, and they're too short. So I have to quickly think of another method, and thank God for critical thinking in healthcare, the background I have, which helps me so much with problem solving. So I decide to double up on the zip ties and attach the shimmer wall to this crossbar in that fashion. But also, as you're attaching it to the shimmer wall, you want to make sure that the parts that are extended are pointing outwards towards the top. Like you can see the 2 pieces sticking up so that it doesn't poke through those shimmer wall panels and they're not aligned when you turn it over. So you'll see I have all those, and I don't really need to cut them because they'll be on the back of my backdrop. So here I'm moving things back, and I'm going to continue attaching all the panels as long as I can. And once I have enough, then I adjust my pipe and drape upright so that it fits the size without scratching their hardwood floors. Of course, look at that shine. So now we are going to continue assembling the shimmer wall. Now that we have everything up, I'm connecting each piece and just working my way through as fast as I can. I got here and didn't have as much time because there was a little bit of delay from when the customer was gonna be home. So I'm trying to make sure I get everything set up, and that's the advantage of getting your balloons all inflated ahead of time. To save my back, I'm raising up the backdrop so that I'm not having to bend as low to connect all these pieces. So it's a process trying to get everything hooked up, bending and standing up and bending constantly. So you want to save your back, especially if you have to do this several times with events. So I'm raising it up even more and going to connect another row. I was thinking that this would be it for me as far as the height of the backdrop, but later I decided I wanted a height that if someone was tall enough, then they wouldn't be standing and covering the backdrop. So this is where I stopped so far. I'm lowering everything section by section because now this shimmer wall is one piece. It's no longer section. So you can see it tilting when I lower one side or the other. So remember this neon sign that I made a few videos back. I'm showing you because I was so excited when I made this. I did this myself. I'm using it for this event. It says congrats, and I'm trying to tie that to the backdrop before I get all the balloons inflated. I'm using fishing line to attach it to the backdrop, and I decide this time to make it where the congrats is somewhat tilted. I triple my fishing line to make it more sturdy, and then I tie several knots. With fishing line, if you just tie it twice or double knot it, it doesn't hold as well. So you have to at least triple knot. So now I'm going to thread the piece through, and it looks like what is going on with that congrats sign. It does light up, thank God. And now I turn it off to save time so I can finish up the whole design. I'm adding some 260 Qs to the uprights that I'll use to attach the balloons. I'm putting it very bottom, middle, and the top. And then I already attached the two. Did I do 2 or 3? I think I did 3 across along the crossbar that will hold that top part. Here are the balloons that we inflated together earlier. I'm taking everything out. This time I did not attach. Sometimes when I put them in the bag, I connect the pieces, but I decided to just pop them in and assemble them when I get here. My whole uncomplicated method here is to do purple, pink, ivory, purple, pink, ivory, and just repeat that pattern till I assemble all the pieces. And I did 6 of each color, so I'm hoping as I assemble, I don't know if you're able to guess if this is going to be long enough to cover the full backdrop. But if you are, let me know if you did in the comments below, or if you guessed that I would need more balloons than I inflated. So I think that's always exciting. It got very hot, so we had to turn the blinds down because I was already sweating trying to set up and rush through this process. I'm thinking here that I am missing the purple, so I just go ahead and just attach the pink and ivory to the other end of the garland to get it complete as long as I can. And oh, there it is. That is the purple one we thought we were missing, so I attached those last 3 colors, and now I have to figure out a way to get this long garland attached to the full backdrop. One thing you want to keep in mind when you're attaching your garland is to make sure you adjust the garland, because when you tie the clusters together, they're all twisted around. You want to straighten it up and tie them. This is where I decide to add one more row of the shimmer wall to give myself a little more height for a good design of the pictures. And you'll see at the end the height is perfect. She sent me a couple of pictures that they took and it turned out great. So I'm lowering just enough for the shimmer wall to kiss the floor, and here we are attaching the very last 260Q that we put on the upright to the balloons, wrapping it around to make sure they're nice and secure and tight and onto the pole. We're connecting the middle and readjusting the balloons so they're nice and stacked on top of each other, but without pulling too much and creating gaps in between each cluster. So raising it up, we have the corner there, twisting it around, not only around one balloon, but going through 2 or 3 different balloons and wrapping it around. We're connecting the garland across the middle. Looking back, you know I always do this. You have to step back, make sure you like what you're seeing, make sure it's symmetrical, make sure you don't need to make any more adjustments. And that's the corner. I realized I don't have a 260Q in that corner, so I decide to grab that and attach it to the corner so that I can actually twist that corner and go downward on the garland. So that's what I'm doing there. Now you'll see, if you guessed that it was not going to be long enough, you guessed right. As I make adjustments here to see how far the garland is going to go down, then I realize it's not quite where I want it. We're going to secure that purple in the middle, make adjustments with the ivory and the pink, step back and look just to see that balloon up there was drooping a little, so it looked like the garland was coming down. So I made that adjustment and realized that you guys could not see what I was doing, so sorry about that. I adjusting the camera for you to see. And here I have my pump so I can inflate some more balloons to add to the bottom of that right side of the garland. See what I was talking about with the shimmer wall and these colors? I think it looks beautiful. They tie in so well together because you have the 2 shades of pink with the canyon rose and the pink in the with the Qualitex, that it just pulls in all together. The ivory just creates a little bit of a contrast to make the whole garland look very, very nice. So if you like this design, please don't forget to click that like, click that thumbs up so that I know that you enjoyed what you saw, you liked the design. I really appreciate it. So here we are now adding the 5-inch fillers. This time I did just 3 balloons each. Sometimes I do 4, but I decided to do 3 each on this one. And that's our berry cluster. I am attaching the purple on the left side here. I'm using rubber bands. I just put the rubber band through one end and attach to the 11-inch balloon and do the same on the other end, and that holds it in place. So I'm continuing to fill. At this point I'm feeling a little rushed. I think it's about 6:40 and the guests start coming at 7, or the party starts at 7. So I'm trying to hurry, take off that one I put before so that I can attach this berry cluster in the ivory silk. So you get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm putting one of the berry clusters on each side of the garland, so left, top, and right. So the pink is gonna go on the right here shortly. Attach more of the fillers. The fillers are mainly for the gaps that you see where the 260Qs are attached. You just put them so that they cover it. And I feel like that bottom part is a little bit bare, so I'm inflating some more of the ivory silk to add to that base so it's not just pointy. I somewhat like the base of the garland to be full, but not only from the top down, be more symmetrical. See how easy I move that cluster and it just angles on its own. Love that for these balloons. I'm adding some more of the canyon rose to that left side, and we're pretty much done. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to click that notification bell. Lots of homework, the notification bell, so you don't miss any tutorials. Here I'll be posting a detailed tutorial with my silver shimmer wall to show you how I assemble, more of a review of this company's shimmer wall so that you can see what I like about it and the ease of use. But that will be coming up shortly, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. And I'm adding these last few clusters and I'll show you the final look here in a few minutes. Thank you for watching.